family. Thanks for joining another episode of Black Gay Table Talk. I'm your host, Keenan, and for today's episode, we have a jam packed episode actually with none other than Charly Dominguez, activist, artist, really a beacon in the LGBTQIA plus community. Without further ado, Charly, how are you?
Doing good. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes,
Happy
we're happy to
holidays
have
to
you.
you and the family.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays. So this is a long time coming, family. We've been following Charly and his artistry for some time, and we finally have him here. And before we even get started, thank you for what you do for the community. Thank you for being an eye, for being an ear, and being a voice in the community. I don't think we realize right away the impact we have, but I want to say thank you from all of us.
Oh, of course. Thank you for recognizing me and my work, um, for following my art, and for hearing my voice. I think that that's not um, spoken about enough. Is that we need to hear each other and give affirmation to each other in this world.
That's true. Very true. Very true. For those that may not know you yet, what's a bit of your story?
Um, Well, I'm an artist. I was born and raised in New York City. My family comes from the Dominican Republic. I was raised in Harlem and Washington Heights, simultaneously at times in Dominican Republic as well. My artistry started as a child. I was a dancer and performer from a very young age.
Yeah.
I thought dancing was going to be my life actually, but I was always a visual artist. I just didn't think anything of it until my late teens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Activism. I came out as a young gay male at the age of 14 years old,
Mm-hmm.
which during our times was not a very easy task, especially in the inner city. So activism was just a method of survival, and a method of speaking up against the ills that we faced, just in our neighborhoods, in the world, the homophobia, the hatred, the
Yeah.
violence was just a common way of life, and it was acceptable. It was promoted, and we had to find ways to support each other as well as speak up and act up against it.
This is true. Wow. Okay. So how did you and we know that you're an activist now, right? But what was that thing for you that made you want to start um I guess the journey of being an activist? What was it, something pivotal that happened or something traumatic that happened? What made you feel like you needed to use your voice for the community?
Well, for a young person to kind of have this experience of the hatred and the violence being second nature, being
Mhm.
bullied all the time, one way or another, whether it's physically or verbally, by a
Mhm.
group of people on a routine basis, like walking to school, coming from school, outside during recreation, hearing it in the music, seeing it in your videos,
Mhm.
just the culture so infused with the hatred and the messages of, anti LGBT kind of rants, and it being, the butt of every joke, it being the sentiment and the frown upon their faces when you're, just existing and walking by.
Mhm.
It was a constant trauma and a constant affirmation I had to do for myself, and that was
Mhm.
my first activism. Um, Outside of that, uh, to see other people suffering through it made me more angry, because there's things that you can experience and it's okay because you can handle it, you have tough skin. But to
Mhm.
see other
Mhm.
people who don't have as tough a skin go through it, it infuriates me, and it makes me even more, of a rebel.
Mhm. Mhm. A rebel for a cause, though, right?
Yeah, a rebel for several causes right now, but yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I got you. I got you. In your opinion, what new forms of activism do you see emerging within the Black and Brown LGBTQIA community to kind of combat? And we see it happening now more than it's ever happened, in my opinion. But to combat transphobia and the resurgence of homophobia, um, and these economic disparities that we see within the community.
Honestly, the way I can answer that is to say that I don't see enough of it.
Mm,
I see a lot of cliche activism. I see a
mm-hmm,
lot of, pretty posts and hashtags. I see a lot of, surface level kind of let's stand together, but then let's tear each other up in the real world, in our clubs, in our,
mm,
coming together as the LGBT community and being divided amongst ourselves, promoting violence against each other, promoting tearing each other down because of our differences, even while being, a disenfranchised community, or should I
mm-hmm,
say, parts of communities and subcultures. Because just because we say we're LGBTQ, that does not mean that we're all on the same page and on the same
true,
battleground.
true, true. Wow. So let me ask you now, and this kind of goes into that representation, right? So, cultural representation, how can increased representation of the Black and Brown LGBTQIA plus community um, in media and arts challenge this kind of prevailing narrative of homophobia and transphobia in our society?
What worked for me as a youth activist, and what I was happy about as far as the community was concerned back then, that I don't see enough of now, is that there were a lot more collective discussions.
Mm-hmm.
There was respect given to people's differences and opinions when we came to the table and we had conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, people just want to hear themselves talk, and a lot of people just want to be seen. Um, and it's all about an ego kind of competition, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
sitting down and really dishing out what the issues are and coming up with, solutions instead of just having griping sessions. um,
Mm-hmm.
so what I think is that community forums need to start happening on a regular basis. uh,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was spoiled because I come from a nonprofit organizational background where, we had support groups every week. We had check ins every day almost. We were constantly, in the conversation and in communion. So
Mm-hmm.
it was easier for us to solidify what the issues were and what we were fighting against as a collective.
I'm glad you mentioned the non for profit landscape because I'm finding myself doing more to try to show up and support nonprofits here locally in Chicago. And I'm kind of hearing the same narrative of it's hard to get people to show up now. And everybody's, doing this, right? Going back to your point earlier, there it's all surface level, so to speak.
Very.
It's the pretty posts and, oh, I'm here, but are you actually here? What are you doing for the community? Why do you think it's so hard, Charlie, to get people to show up now when here's a resource, here's an avenue that has all these tools for you. Um, why do you think it's so hard to get people to show up now, like they
Well,
did?
back then we didn't have social media, so scrolling wasn't an option. Back
Mhm,
then we had to find each other to kind of come together and have some sense of, physical bond, not just for sex, but to actually come together as brothers and talk and meet and
mhm.
congregate. Like it was
Yeah.
just, it was very different back then. Now it's just uh momentary satisfaction. If it's, a club or a bar, it's just about meeting and then, throwing away, your momentary satisfaction and your, experiences with people.
Mhm,
There's not enough of this engagement where people actually have to come into the same room. So for me, I believe that we have to find ways to have the room and also have, the live kind of, feed, so that we're
mhm.
engaging people on both terms and
Yeah.
kind of bringing them from the virtual world back into the real world, and meet for matters that actually matter, for things that, are about promoting our community and supporting the fight, understanding where you lie in the fight and what your rights are and what rights are about to be taken from us.
Mhm,
All of those things need to be discussed. It's
yeah.
amazing for me to go on the Shade Room or the Neighborhood Talk, those platforms, and then see the response to all of the homophobic rhetoric that's been going on, all of the transphobic rhetoric, where people of your own community are chiming in and elated that our rights are being taken away, agreeing that we should be slaughtered and erased, you know, uh, that this upcoming president is saying that, oh, we're going to do away with uh, the transgender, community and their existence and all this other stuff. And people are just like, hooray. And it's just like we're
Mhm,
not enough is being said to counter that as a group. But we can all be very fabulous and dress beautifully and take beautiful pictures and, you know
mhm,
get
mhm,
naked and show our bodies and do all of these things that are not all about, you know that's not all we are. That's not all that we stand for. That's not all we should be, promoting. Like,
right,
we are actually alive. We're here. We are full humans, and we deserve every right that we have and more to
mhm.
exist and to excel in this world.
Agreed. What do you think? Well, I'm sorry, were you gonna say something else?
I mean, I have a lot to say, but not right now. I'm just kind of flowing with it. So
I love it. It doesn't feel real. The time that we're in, and I say that loosely. It doesn't feel real, but at the same time, I am aware that we only just got a lot of the rights that we have now, and I think us being caught up in, I won't say pop culture, but us being caught up in
pop culture.
this, let's call it what it is. But I think that we're removed from the fact that we just got these rights, and it feels like, oh well, I'm good. I'm living this fabulous life, and everything is good. I got a job. I got this, but at the same time, just not that long ago, we were able to be fired for being gay.
and it's
We were
still
able
and,
to.
and it's still done because you're not necessarily fired for being gay, but if you're gay
Hmm.
and on the job and you have homophobic uh people around you, or managers and so forth and so on,
Hmm.
they'll find ways to get you fired. It's an
This is true.
insidious attack on us. It's been an insidious attack on us even through the rights that we've been quote unquote granted.
Yeah.
There's so much underlying, hidden. kind of attacks on our community on a regular basis that people don't talk about, because when you start talking about it, you sound crazy, and other people don't necessarily stick up for you because they don't know how to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
speaking from experience because I've been as an artist who just happens to have to live in the hood. I'm often targeted. So I
Mm-hmm.
see the ways and I feel the ways and I experience the ways in which people target you in order to, fulfill their demonizing of you because of your sexual orientation or your gender identity.
Wow. Wow. So, what can we do to bring more awareness?
We have to discuss the root of our problems on a regular basis. We need to stick to the conversation. We need to make the conversation heard across all platforms. We need to have a united front about the issues that we face and how to counter those, issues, and how to support each other through those issues. Um, there's no reason why there's so many of us, quote unquote, thriving and living great lives, and yet there's such a large community of people that slip through the cracks because they're not
True.
rich, they're not fabulous, they're not they're just not in the platforms uh that are kind of like lotteries, that are afforded to the few of us,
Mm-hmm.
and they slip through
Mm-hmm.
the cracks and they get, sucked up and sucked into a lot of uh, the ills of our society.
Got it. Got it. So let's transition for a moment here. Um, because this kind of taps into something. So it sounds a bit like there's a narcissism that's grown within our community. Go ahead.
Narcissism as a response to insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
Narcissism as a response to lack. Narcissism as a response to trauma and to not feeling worthy
Mm.
by people's own families, by their own communities, by their own cultures. Narcissism is a farce. It's just this illusion and delusion of yourself in order to escape being torn down by
Mm.
everything around you.
Wow. Wow. Say that again, Charlie. I'm sorry, but
If I can
it's so
remember,
real.
let me see. So narcissism, because I let me bring it back. Um, I've seen and dealt with a lot of people that are in the realm of narcissism,
Mm-hmm.
but I've also dug deeper and seen deeper than the facade that's put up.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a response to the insecurity, the
Mm.
trauma that is caused by being disenfranchised, by being rejected, by
Mm-hmm.
being thrown away by family, by culture, by environments. It's this response that, oh, I'm worthy, look at me, I'm wearing labels. I'm worthy, look at me, I'm looking fabulous. I'm worthy, look at me. It's this farce that's
Yeah.
created so that people can feel like they're still existing after
Mm-hmm.
having been torn down
Mm-hmm.
by masses of people.
Charlie, you're gonna make me run through this. I'm gonna run clean out of this room because that's true. And it's like it's sad. Don't get me wrong, it's sad, but it's wild that we've been pushed to a place to where we're looking at these false things to give us validity, you know? And so much so to where some of us, and I'm probably guilty of it too, some of us will look Um, I'll say this. I used to be this person to look, I'm like, oh damn, he got his shit together. Like, I love it, but still not seeing, okay, this person still has that shared experience of being black or brown, gay, and in America. Like, all of it's smoke and mirrors. I that's the easiest way I can put it.
It's
Yeah.
definitely smoke and mirrors, definitely an illusion that was created for us to pacify us and to,
True.
say, here, take this and shut up. Be this and shut up. Let me allow you this little arena where you can shine and
Mm-hmm.
entertain us so that
Right.
we, so that we can look onto you and be comfortable with putting you in this box
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to accepting the whole person that we are.
Yes. And not saying everybody has that experience, because there are some of us who were fortunate enough, and I think somebody that I talked to a while ago said that they were able to look at the world through rose colored glasses because they had the two-parent household. They were accepted when they came out, and they didn't really have those strifes in the community that they grew up in. So acknowledging those individuals and saying, kudos, yay, we're happy that you were able to be one of those anomalies. But at the same time, there's always the opportunity to look back or to reach out and see what the experience is of your neighbor. Does that make sense?
Well, this is what I want to say about that. As an activist, you
Mm-hmm.
learn that whatever privilege you may have and you're speaking in defense of a people, you're not putting that to the forefront because that doesn't matter.
Mm.
Whatever was great for you, whatever rose-colored glasses you had on, and whatever you whatever privilege you were awarded,
Mm-hmm.
that's kudos to you and cookies, cookies and cream and whatever else, But we're
Yeah.
not talking about you right now. We're talking about the millions of people that are still in the shit and going through the shit who
Mm-hmm.
need support.
How can and since we're on this topic of narcissism and identity, so to speak, how can individuals within the community kind of recognize and resist that pressure to have the labels, to be the fashionista, to, you know what I'm saying, be the pretty poster? How can we resist that? And
Don't get me wrong. As an artist, I love fashion. I
mm-hmm,
love somebody looking beautiful, somebody pulling
yes,
some garments together. Like, that's art to me. It's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. What's
yeah,
wrong is when you don't do the internal work, or you don't come with the internal work done to understand that this is just a garment. It comes off
mm-hmm,
of me.
mm-hmm,
This is just a costume. The costume is removed. You don't have to, become that character or that personality and then make other people feel less than, or
true,
throw the rest of the people away because they couldn't afford or couldn't acquire the garment that you have on. You
mm-hmm,
understand, which is what a lot of people do. There's this fake elitist attitude that people have
yes,
that is counterproductive, and they're not even happy a lot of times themselves, because when that garment comes off, they're still dealing with a lot of psychosocial issues that you would never hear about because they have to keep a certain face in
mm-hmm.
order to function in society.
What do we need to do to help further the message that it's okay to be vulnerable, especially amongst those who have that same experience?
Well, it's not about being vulnerable, and this is another extreme. Just hear me
Okay.
out for a second.
Okay.
This is another extreme, because we are taught when we're doing this work that we have to come together and break down the walls and be vulnerable and let out,
Mm-hmm.
the pain and the trauma and all this other stuff. But when you do that and you don't have the safety protocol in place around you to create
Mhm.
the safe space to be able to do that, you reopen people's wounds and just throw them to the wolves.
Hmm. Okay. I like that. I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah, so these people come and they share,
Yeah.
and then they are surrounded by people even in our own communities who don't have the best intentions and don't have the best, you know, kind of scope and understanding of somebody suffering, and
Mhm.
it re-traumatizes them
Mm.
because we need to have safety protocols within our own community in order to guide traumatized people, you know, through their work. Trauma is, you can't cure trauma.
Right.
Trauma is a lifelong issue. What you can do is you can help people to become stronger and acknowledge the trauma so that they know when these things kick up for them, how to handle it differently and how to
Right.
handle it in a way that supports a better outcome for them.
Got it.
So
Got it.
yeah, one step is getting someone to be able to talk. I have a lot of trauma. I've been through trauma since a child.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
if I sit here and I talk about my trauma, and tell you what happened to me when I was 5, what happened to me when I was 14, what happened to me when I was 15, like all of these things come up. What are you
Mm.
going to do with all of that information? How
Right.
are you going to help me with all of that information? There are things that need to be in place in order for people to be supported and guided through their episodes of, triggers from trauma.
Mhm.
And as a community, we've been traumatized. We're being traumatized on a regular basis.
True.
So just when you think you've dealt with one form of trauma, here comes another one waiting down the road. We have a big
Right.
one coming up. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
again, there has to be a collective kind of halt, and we have to come together and say, you know what, we need a better way for us to survive this
Yeah.
monster and support each other through everything that is developing right now.
Right. And if we didn't find a way to come together before, I feel like this incoming administration is a damn good reason to find a way to come together. Like
Right,
it only makes
which is only just, they're only just coming to reveal what we've known all along, and how they've felt all along.
yeah, I believe that. That's true. So speaking of the traumas and dealing with those things that may have happened and having that safe space. So as we get older, a lot of those do tend to be unresolved for our community for various reasons. But looking at aging within the community, what ways do you feel that ageism kind of intersects with homophobia and transphobia within the community? And how can we come together, in those different generations to collaborate and kind of combat all this discrimination and these disparities we see?
Um, well, you see in our community, in the transactional world of our community,
Yeah.
there's there's a price, or should I say, there's a value that's placed on you based on your looks, based on your wellness, based
Mm.
on you know, your popularity, your
Yeah.
social engagement. All of those things have these transactional values. And what
True.
happens in our community is that as people grow older, they start to get thrown away. They start to get ignored. They start to get thrown away. They start to
Yeah.
get disrespected. they start to get put into this category of, you know, um, decay.
Mm.
Um,
Now,
Meanwhile, these are the people that's already been through kicking down doors for this whole generation to come through and just shit all over the place. Meanwhile, these are the elders who hold wisdom
mhm,
and who hold a connection to your tomorrow, who are being violated and disrespected and just again thrown away because they're not as fabulous anymore. They're not as beautiful
mm,
anymore. They're not fitting, the criteria that the narcissist and the facades,
mm,
have created to give us value and to give us any kind of um, importance in this culture.
hmm. And it's weird. I'll say I do agree because I do see a lot of it, and I've seen a lot of it, right? But there's also this daddy culture, right?
Well, I mean, that's
So
been from the beginning of time.
okay, so where does that, I don't want to say cut off, but where does it transition there? Because just this past weekend I saw, boys like, bitch, I need to find me a daddy. Like I need to. Now, granted, I do believe a lot of it is transactional.
Which is what I'm saying. But at the
Yeah.
on the other side of things, there's always been, whether it's in the LGBT community or the straight community, rites of
Mm-hmm.
passage that we've lost.
Okay.
Rites of passage that determine, you coming into adulthood, you coming into, a certain age range and a certain culture, which is no longer intact because of the transactional relationships that society has created for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You understand? So this
Yeah.
whole, oh, I need a daddy is talking about a lack that they have, in
And
their life.
okay.
And then because we have a transactional culture, oh, that equates to dollars. That equates to dollars. In order for me to feel fulfilled by someone, they have to be older, like a daddy figure, and they have to
Mm-hmm.
provide me with wealth.
Mm. But then again, do you think that y'all can't get pissed at me for this question? I have to ask it. So, on the opposite side, do you feel that it's transactional for them as well? Because, again, like you said, the older you get, the more removed you feel from the community. So, that younger person that's looking for a daddy or looking for that money is able to give you that sense of belonging and that sense of need, being older and kind of removed. So, in essence,
Unfortunately,
you're gaining from that too, right?
unfortunately, that is for a lot of people a reality. And I say unfortunately because what that speaks to is a new insecurity growing
Mm-hmm.
amongst the people that have already been there.
I got you.
You understand? Now they're
I
having
got
these
you.
insecurities about themselves and their value.
Yeah.
And now I have to use, this in order to feel connected and to feel, desired, or to
Mhm.
feel, valued enough to even interact. And this is not just a sexual or dating kind of thing. It's just
Mhm.
a companionship thing. it's
Companionship.
it's
Yeah.
a communication thing, it's a friendship thing. It becomes deeper and it becomes about intimacy that's been lost because everything has become so cut and dry, has become so
Mm.
sterile, and has become a
Mhm.
transaction.
Got you. Now, is there a way to normalize? Because we know that it's there. Will it change? Maybe not. But is there a way to normalize it so that there's not that shame from the the aging or the older, you know, gay man and that younger man, not necessarily condoning, but creating a space where um it doesn't have to there doesn't have to be that shame associated with, okay, well, he's my way of staying connected or he's my way of getting XYZ. You get what I'm saying?
I think there's a lot of deep rooted conversations that I can't answer everything for, but I have my own
Mhm.
opinions. I have my own
Yeah.
thoughts around, and it's just a bigger conversation about what our roles are in each other's lives as gay men
Right. Right.
across the board, across
Got
the
it.
ages. What is our role in each other's lives? What purpose
Mm,
do we serve each other? What value do we have with each other? And
mhm.
does that have a cutoff point? Age by age. Like, I hear a lot of
Mhm.
people talking about grooming. I'm like, isn't grooming part of the life process at every which point that we grow? Like,
Mhm.
what exactly do we mean by that? And at what
Yeah.
point, you know what I'm saying, do we start? What point do we finish?
Yeah.
You know, what is the purpose of mentorship? What is the purpose of the gay mothers, the gay fathers, how we have in our community? Like,
Mhm.
is it just to have a trophy mother who walks you through a ball, and you get a trophy, so you're important because you're a trophy child or a trophy mother? Or is it important to see that child through and make sure that they're evolving in their gifts and their creativity in life?
Got it. Got it. And that's where these houses, um, I've seen them change lives. Like I said the other day, and I don't talk about it much, but I belong to a house, the house of Cassadine. And mind you, I'm from Memphis. And my gay mother was very much so pivotal in the choices that I started to make, and God rest his soul. But I feel like I would not be this person I am if I did not have that um, level of understanding, acceptance, and then accountability and reference that I was given, when I entered the scene, so to speak. So shout out to all the houses that are really setting the tone and digging deeper. So not just the trophy, setup. Not, oh, but he's pretty. Oh, she's fish or Shout out to those who are actually making a difference and trying to positively impact those that come in. I have to get that out. Yeah.
Yeah, again, it goes back to what we mean to each other and how much
Yeah.
value we have in each other's life. My,
Yeah.
my gay parents are still my gay parents because we still have a connection to each other, and we
Hmm.
still look out for each other, and they're still doing. I'm about to be 44 years old in a few weeks, but I still have a child in me that's very much a child,
Yeah.
and they're still nurturing that child. you
I
know
love it.
there's people who lose their youthfulness, or I've never lost mine. So
Hmm.
it's important to know that you still have people who are parenting you, who are still nurturing you, who are still bringing you through this world. you know
Hmm.
we all need nurturing, we all need support,
Hmm.
but we also need to become supporters and nurturers to other people, and we need to learn how that's done properly. And
Hmm.
you can there's trial and error, but
Hmm.
there's ways that we can have a conversation, and instead of demonizing each other, to actually teach each other how to be there for each other.
Hmm. And let's transition a bit, right? So, um, the hookup culture.
Yes.
And I smile because I think I've heard so many things about the hookup culture, you know, the apps and cruising and all these different things, right? But I only hear about them at surface level, meaning we can acknowledge like, oh, he a hoe, or he does this, or he does that, or she this, she that. But I've not heard a conversation where we've dug deeper and talked about like the mental health uh, um, scenarios or mental health issues that might be woven into it, or how self-esteem can play a part in how we approach hookup culture. And not to say anything's wrong with the hookups or, you know, doing your thing, cruising, any of that. Nothing, we're not bashing, I'm not bashing it, you know, but acknowledging that it is a thing and kind of talking through some things that we might be missing. Is that fair, Charlie?
Yeah, well, once again, it's a different world than it was before.
Okay.
Social media and dating on hookup sites, etc., is foreign to a lot of us that come from back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we had was like the chat lines where we used to call, and kind of, take a shot in the dark and hook up by meeting up, going to the
Yeah.
clubs. Actually, it was just more of need to come out and come together. Um, it was a lot more of this, oh, where do we find each other? Where can we go cruising to link up and, connect? I
Mm-hmm.
think that what's lost in translation is that people want intimacy. Uh, there was this like big gap between, oh, I want a boyfriend, and oh, I want to sleep with somebody for the night, you
Mm-hmm.
know
Mm-hmm.
but nothing was said about, I want companionship, ongoing
Right.
companionship. I want to feel connected to someone or to a group of people, because that's another thing that's been kind of told to us, that, oh, there's only this one way, you're only supposed to be with this one person for the rest of your life. And no, that's just not, that's never been the reality of humanity. You want connections, you want intimacy, uh, you want to feel love, you want to feel the touch, the companionship of someone. That happens for everyone in different ways, but that happens for everyone. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, there's this platform, just like anything else, that people come to look for that. But what I've seen, because I'm a big troll, so I love to be on the apps. I like to see, all of the pictures, and I like to, I
Okay.
just, I love the culture of it as well. But
Yeah.
I also study it. I go in and do my, my study, and I see that there's a lot of a deeper conversation happening where, people are frustrated, people are angry because they're not getting the kind of connections that they want. So they're already approaching, just how they respond to people in such a negative and kind of like volatile kind of response. And
Mm-hmm.
it's because, oh, this person is ghosting me, oh, this person is not responding to my messages, oh, this person was, it's just this, like, this hostile disappointment that kind of like, is resounded in these apps. But what is not supported enough is, you know having events where dating, the dating apps come to life, and people can actually meet, in under different circumstances than just coming to each other's house to, have a one night stand,
Mm-hmm.
you
I
know?
got you. So like more dating events or more singles events or meeting hookup. I mean, I don't know how to put it, but I get what you're saying though.
Yeah.
Like more
Come come
spaces.
to come come to a space where, you feel safe enough, and you feel, well enough about yourself, one, and then two, to be able to be with other people in a healthy way and with a healthier outlook so that you can establish possible connections with people as opposed to forced connections with people and become these things that you're not just to impress others and to feel valued enough or valuable enough to make these connections.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
I think
because
that
if
would be
all I am, if all I am is, you know, a nude picture, for example, which is a joke in my little dark comedy side of everything.
mhm.
My dick pic is my business card. You know what I'm saying? Like if that's all that I have to offer the world, you know, then there's a lot about myself that's not coming through that business card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, nudity is beautiful. You know,
It is. Yeah.
we love nudity, we love the body, but that's not all that we are, and that's not all we
Right.
have to present to each other. That's not all we have to present when we meet. That's not all we have to present when we talk to each other or chat with each other online. You can still be who you are, and you can
Yeah.
still be all of who you are and still have a dick pic and still be able to, you know, negotiate the terms of, you know, what kind of sex you're about to have or what kind of intimacy you want. You're able to
Mhm.
do all of those things in a healthier and appropriate way when you
Mhm.
have a better outlook and mindset, you know.
Mm.
And then also tell yourself, you know, like, I have bad days, I have days that, you know, I'm not at my best, I don't feel at my best, my mind
Mhm.
isn't at my best, so maybe that's not the best time to probably try to look for connections because you're speaking about something else or you're looking to fulfill something that has nothing to do with, you know, the people that are on the app.
Right. I love that. Um, so it's almost like there needs to be a call to action to um help not only I'll say this, a call to action to be more accepting, but also more direct in what you need and to be more culturally aware of our shared experiences, but also those experiences of others that we might not have had happen quite yet. That makes sense? Like,
Right, and just and also a call to yourself to be self-aware
mm-hmm.
and to be
Mm-hmm.
able to articulate that
Yes.
in the moment, you
Yes.
know.
Yes. I agree. So, I have to let y'all know. So, if you did not know already, Charlie is actually going to be here in Chicago for our first annual imagination party. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I'm definitely excited. It's gonna be my first time coming as an artist to Chicago and to showcase my work. So I'm very honored and I'm very excited about it. I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna put together a couple of masterpieces for you guys.
Yay! It's exciting. And I think that, and I'll say for me, so the imagination party was kind of this thing where it started out with, okay, wanting to create a space for us, for everybody to feel comfortable, be accepted, but also be comfortable experiencing something that they might not have experienced in the past or something that they want to experience more. And I feel like um, you and individuals like you that kind of go against the grain of what we've been programmed to see as normal, I feel like you you give us that freedom and that inspiration to use our imagination. So that's how I kind of came up with the imagination party thing, because anything is possible if we just use our imagination. If we dream it, you know, it can come to fruition. So, um I'm excited because I've not experienced anything like what's going to happen on February 14th, 2025. 8 p.m. to midnight. The address will definitely be in the comments. So if you've not gotten your tickets, get your tickets now. That's my little plugger. But
So,
I've not experienced anything like it. And I'm I'm a Pisces, so I love dreaming and kind of challenging what I see as being normal um up here. But this is an avenue for us to be able to do it real time. So you're going to be there, you're going to create some masterpieces for us. They will get to see you live and in action creating a masterpiece or two or three. Um oh gosh, there's going to be food from Broyer. Actually, he's coming out of Philly. Antoine, shout out. Oh my gosh, it's just gonna be amazing. It's gonna be different cities represented coming together, different art forms. We got Just Logan, he's performing with his band. So you have black and brown queer people, gay people in the same place, different art forms, and we're there celebrating and pushing you guys forward because you give us voices. And I know that might sound cliche or whatever, but truly, you give us voices. Like through your art, Charlie, I've been able to dream and I've been able to see different things that I didn't necessarily think of seeing before. So you kind of opened me up to a lot of things.
well,
Yeah.
I want to say something about dreaming. Dreaming is the realm that our art comes from. You know,
Yeah.
it's the realm that we tap into. It's the realm that shows us the images before we're able to bring the images into this realm. It
Mm,
is a very important state of being for an artist. So I will always tell people don't stop dreaming and don't let other people kill your dreams. Because there are people who will tell you, snap out of it, you're in reality. And it's like reality wouldn't exist if someone hadn't dreamt it. Someone hadn't looked into that other side and brought those images into existence.
mm-hmm.
So it's very important, and I look forward to this. This event. I look forward to sharing my artwork with everybody. I look forward to the models. Who we've tried to work together in the past. I look forward to. Um, coming to Chicago. It's just gonna be a dope vibe.
Yes. So switching to you. So and you've done and you're a painter, um, and you also do body paint. So when you picked up your brush for the first time or you put together that first piece, what was that experience like for you and kind of describe what you did in that experience?
Um, it's strange because I was a graffiti kid, and
Okay.
I literally would like draw in my notebook in class, and I would tag up in the neighborhood, with markers and so forth. Um,
Mhm.
I would just it was just second nature for me to create, but I wasn't thinking of it on a larger scale until my late teens. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so for me, it became not just an extension of my hand, but an
Mhm.
extension of my mind or my mouth. Like it became a
Mhm.
language for me.
Yes. Okay.
And that's what it's been ever since. This is why I call it the magazine or the Charlie Journal. It's literally me writing about how I feel, and it's therapeutic. It's a release. It's cathartic, and good, bad, and indifferent. I let out how I feel, what I'm trying to say, what my mind is telling me, what my spirit is telling me, what surrounds me is telling me.
I love that. I love that. So, House of Charlie, the Charlie magazine,
And the
which I'm
Charlie Journal.
excited for, and the Charlie Journal.
Yes. And I have all those pages because I'm constantly tried. constantly, hated on. People are always
Mm,
reporting my images and trying to shut down my accounts. I have a great, big following. I have people who follow me for good reasons, and then there's people who follow me for other reasons. So I
mm,
have to kind of keep, it's been already like 4 or 5 times that they shut my accounts down. So at one point
really?
or another, I will come back. I will resurface like I always do. So if those don't work by the time this airs, just
Oh,
know I'll be putting up something new soon.
okay, we got you. So the Charlie magazine,
Yes.
amazing, fantastic. Like I try to think of all these words like that come to mind. Erotic, um, uh, uh, visionary, like all these words come to mind. In your description, what would you want to tell people to look for when they are getting ready to pick up a Charlie magazine?
There's a lot of hidden message, a lot of hidden messages. There's a lot of poetry.
Yes.
There is a lot of intimacy. There are my stories, but there are also stories of other people. Sometimes even the muses that are the bodies that you'll see painted. But it's all a journal. It's all a poem. It's all, an extension of my experience in this world, and
Yes.
and it's coming through these visuals.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So, when can we, well, actually, you have a new,
Yes, I have.
okay.
I will have copies of my new magazine available during the Chicago event. So they will be available for purchase. They will be available for purchase online as well if anybody wants to pre-order a copy. I will have promotional images posted, so you can always refer to those. I also have merch that's coming along for the Charlie magazine, so look out for that. We're always accepting donations and sponsorships because without the donations and the sponsors, honestly, a lot of my work would not be possible. I have so many people to thank for the constant, consistent support that my magazine gets. I have to thank all of my muses for being there for me and literally, being my canvases and supporting my artwork, allowing me to, have them stand there sometimes fully naked and just paint. Is it's not an easy task, and it's not as sexy as it looks all the time. Sometimes it is a little frustrating because I'm long-winded and I take a long time, to do my work. So
Mm-hmm.
either sitting or standing through that is not always the most comfortable. So that alone is, a blessing to have people that care enough about your work to
No.
allow you to bring that through.
Yes. All right, family. So, again, an amazing time we've had with Charlie. Charlie, we thank you for spending this time with us. And, family, if you've not already, go follow at the Charlie Magazine on Instagram. Keep an eye out for his amazing works and support. Support. We know the impacts when we show up and show out for our community. We know we need this in our community. So make sure that you support and you do what you can. Again, thanks for joining us. Charlie,
Thank you for
thank you.
having me. Thank you for having me. I look forward to seeing you in Chicago in February.
Yes, yes. It's going to be lit, y'all. Take care.
Later.